Will they or won't they? That seems to be the question that we've been asked in sitcoms and series over decades of television. But no one's asking the question, should they? This trope has been used time and time again to engage audiences and make them keep coming back for more, asking the question, is this the episode where they finally get together and everything goes right? No, it usually isn't, but that isn't such a bad thing. Some shows rely on this will they won't they back and forth, lasting them the entire series, while others who put them together face the real dilemma of what now? Well, let's start off by looking at two of the most popular examples of this in TV history.
And you want to take it and push it through the loop.
The Office premiered on March 24th, 2005, lasting 9 seasons ending in 2013, becoming one of the most iconic and rewatched series of all time. This is no surprise since the cast and the writing were amazing throughout its run, or most of its run. But that leads me to two of our protagonists, Jim and Pam. Seemingly one of the most best and referenced examples of this will they won't they trope, put into a 3-season arc that was honestly perfect. They were able to establish their relationship and romantic tension early on in the show. They grew closer over the crazy scenarios that Michael Scott put them through, and the pranks that he pulled on Dwight, and their relationship grew naturally until there was a point where he finally confessed his feelings. But in efforts to keep this tension, they couldn't be together. Not yet. They had to grow and mature on their own before coming back together as the perfect version for each other. But even this couldn't last forever. In season 3, we see them finally come together, and this great catharsis that we've been waiting for was satisfied with this one scene.
Everything is going to be totally
Pam. Sorry. Are you free for dinner tonight?
Yes.
All right. Then it's a date.
But, like I said, they ran for 9 seasons. That means for 6 more seasons, the writers needed to figure out what to do with these characters whose arc they just finished. Now, the obvious reliances were used, like growing in their relationship, getting married, having kids, the qualms that come with everyday life being together, so it wasn't that bad. But eventually, that well dried up too. They were missing this sense of tension and interest they had in the beginning of the series. So how do you put that back in when they're already married and have kids? And you know they will. Well, you ruin one of the characters. Possibly the most hated storyline of the entire Office series is Philly Jim and Cheater Pam. After years of hating his job and eventually finding his dream position as a sports writer in Philly, being Philly Jim, a persona that Pam herself said she wanted to meet only seasons prior, she ends up despising every moment that he's happy. Now sure, the blame isn't fully on her. Jim could have been more active and aware in what he was doing, but he also was following his dream, which she encouraged. And any dream she didn't follow wasn't because of Jim, but because of her own unwillingness to finish. So for a lack of better words, these characters were lost in the sauce. They fell victim to the dreaded question of every will they won't they, what now? And yeah, they did try to recreate it with Andy and Aaron, which did not work and they gave up on very quick. Forcing like a fake cheating scenario in the last season just to get some interest out of this couple that is like really boring now because they're just a normal family and there's no tension is so bad. Why would you ruin so many characters like that? Jim is mean, Pam is stupid. Like, she's not stupid. Why are you making her like this idiot who wants to cheat? That went nowhere. It was very unnecessary and made us question, will they or won't they get divorced? But let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. Friends. Possibly the most well-known and iconic sitcom of all time, the series follows 6 friends in their 30s living in New York. But 2 of them in particular fall into this trap. Rachel and Ross. Ross and Rachel. Probably the first couple that everyone's mind goes to when they think of the trope of will they won't they. But there was always one thing guaranteed with this show. They really did not want to answer the question, what now? So much so that, well, spoilers here. If you didn't watch Friends and don't know the ending, then, skip this part. But how do you not know the ending of Friends yet? It's been like out for 20 years. They don't get together till the very end of the last episode in the last season of the whole series. And that's it. You don't get to know what happens after. It's up to you, which, honestly, I kind of like. It's kind of cool. You get to imagine what's going to happen. I think they're going to break up because Ross is so toxic. They're the most toxic couple in any series ever. Ross is crazy. And look, David Schwimmer, hilarious. I think he's the funniest on the show. I love every scene Ross is in. But you know, if he was a real person, he should be in a mental hospital. But even though they waited this long doesn't mean they're never together, because there's multiple times throughout the seasons where they are dating. And you know, they break up because they're really toxic together, or they don't understand each other, or they're not mature enough, or maybe they're just on a break.
Are you crying?
I just don't see why those two can't work things out.
But after knowing this and comparing it to other shows like The Office, who do the same thing, but actually put them together, I kind of don't hate it. I think Friends did it really well. They needed time apart to mature and grow in their own way before coming back together. Just like The Office, however, this one took, a lot longer. Rachel, having her flaws of being hyper-focused on her career and her job and being jealous of Ross in every situation and constantly trying to make up for the life she left behind. And Ross realizing this idolized version of Rachel in his head that he loves isn't the real Rachel that he eventually falls in love with. But through these themes of maturing and sacrifice, they come together in the end. And sure, they want to make it a roller coaster, which is why they make it last for so long until the very last episode, the very last moment they can, just to keep us guessing and to keep us coming back. I can't blame them too much for it. Now sure, if there wasn't another ensemble of characters who are really interesting and have good stories going on, you would lose interest in Ross and Rachel, which you do about midway through the series. And don't get me wrong, the Will They Won't They appears in many other series, like Aang and Katara in Avatar, or Crowley and Aziraphale in Good Omens, or Cass and Dean in Supernatural, which I can't believe I didn't say I love you back. Oh, my heart still hurts. And even in scenarios where the characters aren't directly set up as a Will They Won't They, the people will yearn for what they want, like Sherlock and Watson, or Buck and Andy.
And they're both boys.
But regardless, if they end up together in the middle of the series or the end, how do you make this work well? Well, first and foremost, their attraction and tension can only be touched on throughout the series and shouldn't be the leading plot device. This attraction needs to be established early and used to have the audience coming back for more every week, asking the question, will today be the day? Now, like I mentioned, there are some shows like Friends who did us dirty, and don't even get me started on How I Met Your Mother.
This guy stinks!
But for other shows, the real dilemma starts when they ask, what now? For this tension that we love so much to be maintained, the answer to the question, will they, won't they, will most of the time be, they won't. However, in my opinion, a real problem occurs when these shows decide to choose they don'ts over they do's every single time. I know there's a lot of pressure to keep a show interesting, but this honestly destroys relationships. It's the ordinary and mundane that sustain a relationship. The good times you shared together rather than apart. The will they, won't they trope only shows how to fall in love and not how to stay in it. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Leave your comments down below about your favorite couple and your least favorite couple who do this or a show that does this. Please make sure you subscribe right now. And as always, thanks for watching.